What's good, fam? I'm your host, Purple Heart Neptune. Now today we're going to begin to cover an idea that I'm amazed no one else has covered. That's right, I'm talking about what if Data Live views universes with high school DxD. Let's start with what's getting transferred over. Also, I probably should have said early on that obviously there will be no spoilers. Obviously there will be spoilers for Data Live in DxD. Oh well. Also, basically, to not overbear on the spoilers in time overlap, I'm just gonna make the claim that Shido's entire one-year adventure happened from January to December of his first year. That should be most things. Also, Shido has all 16 of his angels. For those of you who don't know what angels are in this context, they are basically reformable mega weapons that their own user is immune to when they use them, and have pretty good effects. But yeah, I'll explain more about those later to not waste everyone's precious time. Shido was born like any other child and was adopted by the Itsuka family. Shido had a sweet, loving sister, although they weren't blood related. Sweet and loving until one day she burned both her parents to smithereens and became best friends with a boy we all know as Issei Hyodo, who drafted Motohama and Matsuda into their friend group. Issei decided in middle school that the four of them would go to a previously all-girls school. Though Shido did actually get a girl within the first month, slowly began to shift away from that group of perverted people, only really staying in contact with Issei. Then things go like canon for a bit, until Issei introduces Yuma to his three male friends. Guys, this is Yuma and Mom. These are my buds, Shido, Motohama, and Matsuda. And the best part is she asked me out, how's that, Shido? Issei would introduce to friends, quite confident in trying to put himself over his friends. Shido would then just roll his eyes and take a good look at the girl before putting on a fake smile. Yeah, that's great. I'm super happy for you that you finally managed to find love. Now, can we have a chat on our way to class? There's something I need to discuss with you. Oh yeah, sure, man. What's up? Issei would ask, curious in his friend while still being somewhat drenched his now overly boosted ego. First, take your girlfriend to class. Me and you are in the same class, so we can just walk to class together as we talk, Shido said, while keeping up his fake smile. Alright, man, sure, Issei tells his friend. He then took Yuma to class and hurried back to meet up with his friend. Shido, who has already figured out the time was precious from his experience the year before, began to walk to class as he and Issei talked. As he talked to Issei as they walked together. Look, man, I'm super happy for you, but there's something off-putting about that girl, almost off-putting, almost as off-putting as Origami's stalker habits, or that transfer student Kurami's level of off-putting. I swear I can speak English. He said as he looked directly at him seriously. What? You really think so? But she doesn't do anything weird. She's super sweet. You just gotta get to know her. Issei tried to say to his worried friend. What? You really think so? But she doesn't do anything weird. She's super sweet. You just gotta get to know her, Issei tried saying to his worried friend. I didn't say don't date her or break up with her. I'm just telling you to keep your guard up around her, Shido said, looking dead in the eye as he spoke. Hold on. Issei agreed to this. Issei agreed to listen to his friend, then fist pumping. Issei agreed to listen to his friend, and then fist pumping him before going through a long and treacherous day of class. Later that day, at lunch when he was alone, Shido pulled out a contact. Later that day at lunch when he was alone, Shido pulled out his phone and decided to call his little sister. Come on, pick up, he said. Come on, pick up, he said out loud to his friend. Come on, pick up, he said out loud to his phone. I should probably explain what Fraxen is, and Radiscure, or however you spell and pronounce it, basically. Fraxus is a giant airship above the city, like 15,000 meters above the city. It was originally an anti-spirit force that would peacefully resolve spirit issues, but has since stopped being but since spirits have stopped being such a problem, they decided, hey, why not focus on the entire supernatural? Miss Coterie, madam, depends on if you kiss her feet, should have an image on screen, but just in case, I will gladly explain it to you. Coterie could be described as having relatively long twin tails in her red hair with hints of orange throughout that match her eyes. She wore one of those normally stereotyped school uniforms while also wearing a men's tie. I think that is with a belt. Which held up her red and black skirt. Maybe it isn't so stereotypical, and of course we can't forget her bootsies. Yes, I'm here, big brother. Aren't you supposed to be in the call with the perverts? The three pervs, Coterie asked. Yes, but something happened that I thought I should report in to you, Commander. He says you flinched at the word perv. So what happened, spilled beans, Coterie replied to him. Long story short, Issei, the boy who comes to our house a decent amount and tries to flirt with you girls, got a girl who feels like she has a lot more mana than the average human, she has said directly. So you were hanging out with the perverts, Coterie responded, fiddling with something on the other line. We picked up something, however, it's so weak. It keeps popping in and out. Keep your eyes out, or don't. I wouldn't mind seeing you take a hit upside the head. Commander, I wasn't planning on engaging. I was merely reporting in something I noticed, Shido said with a direct and clear tone. Got it, Coterie responded. In a few days' time, on a Sunday, Issei and Yuma walked to a fountain after their date. At sunset, this was so much fun, Issei said with a smile. Yuma looked over to Issei and smiled. She agreed it was quite a fun time the two had. She had remarked on how pretty the sunset was. Once it reached night, however, Yuma asked Issei an odd question, to say the least. Would you die for me? Yuma said, looking at him with eyes full of one emotion, loss. Issei was confused by the question. He wasn't sure if he heard it right. He tried cleaning out his ears and asked her to repeat the question, but it was at this moment he knew he messed up. Yuma began to sprout black feathered wings which ripped through her car attire. It exposed what could only be described as something coming out of 50 Shades of Grey, and Yuma's whole attitude changed in an instant. She formed the light spear in her hand, and Issei began to panic. Right after that, he wished he listened to Shido. The boy told him that there was something about this girl, but Issei had just brushed that thought aside, thinking his friend was just jealous. At the time, he was dead wrong. As the woman began to mock him until he blacked out, she left. The last thing he saw was a red-haired girl, and she was standing over his soon-to-be corpse. And he struggled to open his eyes. He heard a voice. "Doctor, hand me my syringe," it said in an ominous but comedic manner. When he finally managed to fully open his eyes, he was introduced to a bright white light. It was the first thing he saw there, in some silhouettes. One that looked like a little girl in a hoodie of the sorts, and the other was a puppet. What was this? How did he get here? The room's lights turned on to reveal a lamp over his head. He was laying down in the bed with no blankets over him. As Shido walked in and turned off the lamp to look at Yoshino holding two things in his hands, as he turned to see Yoshino. "Dr. Yoshino, please state the condition of the patient." Shido said to the puppet. "Not the greatest. They seem to be overly scrawny and pale. Must have lost a lot of blood." Shido looked at Issei and then back to Yoshino before smiling and saluted. "Thank you, Dr. Yoshino. I'll call upon your service if I need them again." Shido said, and handed Yoshino a sealed product that hasn't been opened yet. "Now run along now, Doctor. You have people to save, classes to go to." Issei would just look at Shido in confusion. He was about to open his mouth before Shido immediately shushed him, telling him not to ask. He already made sure Issei was completely healed, and that little girl he just saw didn't have any involvement in it. He made sure it was professionally done, and that only raised more questions for Issei, especially with remembering what happened just last night with Yuma. "Shido, that only raises up more questions for me," Issei said. Shido simply sighed, knowing this wasn't going to be easy. As Yoshino left the room, Shido closed the door. "We got time before school, so I'll explain what I can," he said, as he tossed the other Pop-Tart package to Issei. Thanks. Don't mention it anyway. You never truly died there. You merely passed out due to blood loss," Shido said, almost sounding disturbingly calm about it. What?" Issei yelled. "You were reincarnated into a devil, and I used a special bullet to heal you," he said, still calm, as if the irony was completely lost on him. Issei just looked at his friend as if he was crazy. "Reincarnated devil, special bullet to heal? Shido, why are you smoking? I think you need to lay off the cigarettes a bit. Starting to mess with your brain. Do you hear what you're saying?" "Believe me, 16 months ago I would have told you the same thing, that if we switched places, but throughout the battles and stuff I experienced during my first year, this is nothing," Shido said confidently. Issei was still in disbelief, but decided to take his friend's word for it just this once. His memory was beginning to jog back, and he was still getting flashbacks of Yuma's betrayal. "Alright, say it. that I do believe you. What exactly does it mean to be reincarnated as the devil? And what are those special bullets you mentioned earlier? You shot me or something? To answer your two questions, I'm not the most qualified to answer. About the bullets, I recommend going to talk to Karami during lunch. We will give you the in-depth explanation tomorrow about the reincarnation part. Shido said, still being direct. You take his side. Whatever freaky science experiment his friend did on him, he would have to learn about later. He mentioned this girl named Karami, though. Apparently, going to her would supply him with more information about his predicament and how he was still alive. If you say so. I don't know all of what's really going on, but if I have to go to a specific person or two, I'm down. You better not be pulling my chain. Oh, don't worry. You don't find Karami, she finds you, Shido said calmly. Coming in, is she a stalker or something? Haha, no, she just tends to know when someone has potential to be someone is above the rest. It's not hard to know, Shido said calmly. Okay, see you at school then. After he walked to school with Shido, and later that day at lunch, a twin-tailed, black-haired second year walked into the classroom by Shido with a red eye and her hair covering the other one. As she looked at Shido, and as Shido pointed, he'd say, "That one," Shido said as he looked. As he looked at her with a slight bit of fear, seeing that girl for the first time made Issei a bit nervous. While she was cute, at the same time, she came off as kind of terrifying. Her whole aura was just different from anything he was used to, and was this the Karami girl she was referring to? She walked up to him and smiled. Now is not a good place to have this conversation. Can we have it on the roof? She said the second she walked up to him. On the roof? Okay, can we at least have it close to the door or something? Instead of near the edge, I'm kind of scared of heights. She walked out of the classroom with Shido following suit, then Issei. Karami wondered for a second why Shido was following her, but then it clicked and she just smiled and continued walking. As the three made it to the roof, from my understanding, is that you would like to understand how Shido used a bullet to save your life. Issei nodded. Yeah, but what's up with that? I got shot or something? I can give you an example if you want. Karami said with a grin. Karami, Shido said with a slight growl in his voice. I only just, cutie. You take a joke, Karami said, trying to play the innocent victim. Issei was noticeably uncomfortable and took a step back from the two. He didn't know what sort of game these two were playing, but these two were playing. But he didn't want to get involved in it. He just wanted the information. Anyway, I suppose you can compare. Anyway, I suppose you can compare to how money is passed around via buying stuff, but in this case, the currency was time, and what Shido bought you was a rewind of time, so your body didn't bleed out. She said with a chuckle, "Rewind, so you mean to tell me you have some kind of, rewind, so you mean to tell me you have some form of time manipulation?" Essentially, yes, but as I said, I have to harvest the time I used. Nothing is free in this world, so what I do isn't always nice to get my currency. She said with a pouty face. I see, so you have superpowers. Okay, is there anyone else here with superpowers, or is it just you? Oh, and what's this about the reincarnation stuff? You think you can tell me about that? I say about 2 dozen students in the school have superpowers, including the 3 people on this roof, she said after thinking for a moment. Coming again, you said 2 to 3 dozen. Also, you said 3 people. Why aren't we the only ones up here right now? Wait for it, Chio says, pointing his finger up to Kermit, letting the pain drop to Itzay. A sudden realization hit Itzay. He had powers as well. No way, he couldn't believe that. He needed some form of proof of that. But for you to understand your powers and how they work, I could give you an extremely detailed lecture on the ins and outs and history, but I think I should leave that to you. I think I should leave that to the president, he said before walking off with Kermit soon following suit. The president? Wait, hold on. Which president are we talking about? Because there's no way you're talking about the president of the U.S. or anything, are you? They didn't give him a proper answer. All they said that he would find out soon enough, and that would be probably best to get home early today. There would be dangerous beings out at night after all. With such an info dump, he'd say with sweating bullets, and that was all he focused on the whole day. After school, he decided to not stick around with the rest. That wasn't his first priority here. Living was, he made sure to rush home. And it was probably earlier than he made it in a while. He didn't feel like getting stabbed to death. He refused to leave the house until the next day. Later that day after school, Shia walked up to Itzay. Hey man, are you ready to meet the president? Shia said, looking pretty relaxed. Seriously, which president are you referring to? You never answered me yesterday. You'll know when you see in a few minutes, Shia said calmly. Itzay just sighed. He would never get a straight answer out of his friend, but he supposed it didn't really matter. He was going to beat the president after all. He just hoped this one wasn't scary or anything. After they walked for a bit, they came to a building to see a curvy woman with black hair as she smiled. Yo, Akano, this is a new recruit, she just said casually to the woman. Itzay looked at Itzay with a smile while Itzay's mouth was just watering. Seeing the girl, one of the most attractive girls in this school, smiled at him. Was he dreaming? If he was, he didn't want to wake up. The president has been waiting for you, Itzay. Come in, Akano stated. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, who is the so-called president? Itzay asked for what seemed like the millionth time to him. Well, it would be me, of course, the new female voice answered. Right before him stood another female student with the most vibrant red hair you've ever seen. They had to be the most beautiful colored eyes as well, memorizing. You could say, and she had a good figure. This is Rias Grammar, the president of the Occult Research Club, and arguably the most attractive girl of the whole school. Itzay snapped back to reality a couple seconds later. Then when he remembered the whole reincarnation thing, he was a devil now, but someone turned him into one. Was it her then? Was she some sort of succubus? So, Prez, I brought him here on time on the date you told me to, Shio said, not seeming to grasp how hot Rias was to him. He was dating a lot of girls at the same time, so honestly, he didn't feel the need to be attracted to Rias. Oh, right. Thank you, Shido. Anyway, come on, Issei, have a seat. There's a lot we need to discuss. Reese went on to explain what it meant to be a devil in this world, the different factions and such. What happened to him that night was because of a stray fallen angel, and the reason for it was because he possessed the sacred gear. He hadn't activated it as of yet, but it would come all in due time. For now, though, he needed to make some contracts now that he was a devil. He was part of her peerage as well. It'd be best to get to know his seniors of the group. They could teach him some other things that she didn't have time to teach him herself. One thing that really caught Issei's attention, though, but the different factions. She mentioned that the angels, fallen angels, devils, and then spirits, something that she was part of. What did that mean? What did she mean by that? Was his friend a ghost or something? How come he never passed through him before or anything? Shido would look at the obviously confused Issei. Not that kind of spirit. It's basically the term most people use to describe them. And I'm not a spirit, not technically anyway. The spirits she's referring to are the girls you see around my house, Shido explained. Issei just decided to roll with it for now. Since he was a devil, and apparently most of the people in the room were devils themselves, he could maybe hope to get something like Shido, an actual harem. And his own harem. For now, though, he's supposed to be best to listen to Rias and get to acquainted with everyone, maybe starting with the so-called Prince of Ko Academy. Kiba then looked at him. "Hi, my name is Kiba. Nice to meet you," Kiba said with a smile. Issei begrudgingly greeted him. He was the new dog here, so he had to behave. He talked with the rest of the group and found out he was one of the few boys within the group. All the girls were pretty, too. He tried talking with Koneko, but just called him a pervert before leaving to mind her own business. Issei groaned in disappointment, seeing that one of the members already disliked him. A bit of a bad start, if he said so himself. Shido then had an idea. Prez, I was wondering to help Issei understand what it means to do contracts. I was hoping you could give me permission to take him along once we do one of my daily contracts, help him better understand how they work and what they typically look like. Shido looked at her with a smile that Rias knew it wasn't a perverted one, but it was one of genuine happiness at his idea. Rias thought about it for a moment, but shrugged. It seemed like a good idea to help. The two of them were already friends, so the learning process would come easier. She agreed to it. She then thanked the president as he made a wormhole and walked through it to what looked to be an apartment complex as Issei followed suit. "So I should probably say my usual set of jobs, right?" Shido said happily. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you're the senior here, so I'm all ears. Each devil's jobs are different. Mine are usually cosplaying, doing mock dates, and giving dating advice, giving people cooking lessons, playing video games, and the occasional above-average exorcism, Shido said with pride. Exorcism? That doesn't even match up with the rest of what you said. Where does cosplaying and exorcism coincide with each other? Where are you even exercising? Aren't we the demons after all? I think it's wherever you see for yourself, Shido said as he walked up to an apartment door and knocked as someone creaked through the door. "Hello, Mr. Morisawa. I'm here for our usual appointment. This is my friend Issei." "This is my friend Issei." He's the new kid on the block when it comes to being a devil, and I was hoping you would allow him to watch our usual appointment for him to get a better idea of jobs and contracts, she said professionally with a direct tone. Alright, alright, if you say so, I guess. Nice to meet you, Mr. Morisawa. Mr. Morisawa looked at Ise and agreed as long as he didn't cause much trouble. Shio was a good kid, so he figured Ise wouldn't be too much of a hindrance. After all, the boy would just be watching, right? Yes, he will just be watching, sir. See, though he is new to the concept of magic, so the reaction is probably the most trouble. Oh my god, can't speak today. Yes, he will be just watching, sir. Though he's new to the concept of magic, so the reaction is probably the most trouble he will cause. Shido says as he walks in and summons Haniel. For those of you who don't know what Haniel is in terms of Date A Live, it's a broom summoned by a character named Natsumi that basically allows shape-shifting and transfiguration. Now back to the story. Shido then uses Haniel to turn into the 13-year-old Wendy Marvel from the anime of Fairy Tail and begins to do an impression of her. I do hope my friend won't be in any trouble. Sorry for this, for springing this on you, she has said with an entirely different voice, height, gender, stature, and even tone. Ise's jaw dropped. What did he just witness? His best friend just became a little girl out of nowhere. What kind of witchcraft was this? He didn't even tell him that he was going to be transitioning. No surgery or anything, or wait. Was this the sort of cosplay Shido was referring to? He had to rub his eyes to make sure he was seeing things right. After 2 hours of Shido's perfect Wendy cosplay, including the personality letting this man IRL roleplay with an anime girl, his phone alarm went off as Shido looked at him. Oh no, looks like our time is up. Shall I see you on our next appointment? He said with a fake seductive look. The man nodded eagerly with his face red and steam coming out of his nose. Shido walked over to Ise and summoned a wormhole for the two to leave. The whole time, Ise was just wondering what he just witnessed and how he could do it that. The whole time, Ise was wondering just... The whole time, Ise was wondering just what he just witnessed and how he can do it as well. It would be interesting for certain uses. The next day, Ise and Shido were walking down the street, and Shido stopped Ise. Okay, dude, I'm gonna show you exactly how to get a girl into your harem, starting now, okay? Shido said, with looking at Ise confidently. Shido ended up walking over to a girl with blonde hair. She seemed to be lost, so Shido tried to address that, try and see what's wrong. Of course, he introduced himself as well. During that time, the girl introduced herself as Agia. She mentioned how she was looking for a certain church. Shido knew what she was referring to and pointed her in the direction of the place. He was pretty well aware of the place, so he also offered to walk her there. He just smiled. Agia smiled hearing this. They made their way over to the church, but on the way they ended up encountering a boy who had bruised their knee. He was crying in pain, and her heart yearned for them. She kneeled down, and green energy began to emit from her hands. The kid's knee actually began to heal. Amazing, Shido. So the girl had special properties as well. Neat. When they reached close to the church, Shio began to form a headache. He was used to this, though, so he managed to walk a little closer. Eventually, the headache was too nauseating for him to walk any further with the girl. Thankfully, they were already relatively close to the place, so there would be no issue with him leaving. There wouldn't be any. There wouldn't be any issue with him leaving from there. Angia thanked him for his time and even gave him a hug before walking inside. Later that day into the night, Shio walks with Issei up a hill to what seemed to be a mausoleum. "It's time for your next lesson," Issei, Shio said as he reached the doors. Alright, what's the lesson gonna be about?" Shio then kicked open the doors and walked to the center of the room as a large devil creature that I can't describe without YouTube demonetizing me. So I'll just say, just watch the episode. As the female devil spoke. My, what do we have here? Two strapping young men," she said seductively. Issei was at first interested in the steam until he saw the rest of this body. He wasn't about to deal with that. That thing needed to be taken out immediately. She sighed in relief that, and said one word, Saphion, he said as a sword appeared in his hand. Okay, for me to explain Saphion, it's basically just a sword with law negation. That's purple and white, okay, back to story. Shio then cut down the beast in one strike, cleanly cutting it in half. Issei's jaw dropped in a cartoonish manner. He'd never seen Shio kill before. He done this with no issues at all. Not only that, but he didn't even seem fazed at all. He was learning so much about Shio. He was his best friend and he barely knew anything about him. Shio dematerializes his sword and walked over to Issei. In time for the lesson. That girl was a stray devil. A devil who killed her master or ran away. It turns out to exercise such beings. Don't betray Reese or you will end up like her. That concludes today's lesson. He says he makes a wormhole. I see, so even in this realm, there are rules and morals. Honestly, pretty good to know. Not that I would ever kill the president or anything. Please don't kill me. She just smiled as he walked through the wormhole. We then cut to Issei a few nights later. As he enters the house after no one answers his knocks. As he walks down a hallway, we see him enter a room with a bloody person on a coat rack. As you see a silver-haired man on the couch, I spy with lie. A little devil that needs to die. Repent for your sins, you vile creature from hell. The man proceeds to shoot Issei in the leg and slice him with a light sword, with Issei barely being able to dodge the slash. With a psychotic look on the man's face. Issei didn't have enough time to process what just happened. All that he could process in the moment was to scream in pain as he was bleeding out. This caught the attention of a familiar blonde-haired girl who made her way to Issei trying to heal him. She gasped in horror when Fried informed her of the fact that he was the one doing this and that this was something she'd have to get used to doing if she wanted to be with the church. As Fried began to make his final swing to attempt to swing, as Fried began to make his final attempt to swing, a wormhole appeared as a girl with long blue hair, white skin, and butterfly hair clip, a black shirt and mini skirt, and a pink jacket appeared with with a purple sword blocking the strike. Yo, am I late to the party or what? The girl looked at Issei. What the? Another devil that needs to be exercised? Alright, then all of you deserve to be exercised. So suffer, your breed deserves to become extinct. Yeah, that's nice, but I don't feel like fighting, so me and these two are just gonna bounce, he said, jumping behind Ozia before dropping them into a wormhole with her. As she closed it before Freed could follow, they landed in the Occult Research Club with Kiba, Koneko, Akano, and Reese shocked at the sudden entrance before the girl put a finger to her mouth to the floor, did not reveal her secret with Issei and Ozia not being able to see the finger gesture due to being behind the girl. So what's up with this girl? Does she have the sacred gear as well? Judging by the outfit, she appears to be with the church. I know you don't do this sort of stuff without a good reason. So can you please explain it to me? Reese asked, completely lost to what happened. The blue-haired girl then proceeded to explain. Reese, this girl Shido needs a met the street the other day, and apparently Issei almost got killed by an exorcist, along with this girl who the exorcist was abusing and almost violated until I swooped in and brought them here. I request for her to be put into Shido's residence for the time being until we figure out what to do with her. I can also confirm she has no abilities. I can also confirm she has no abilities that can harm Devil or any offensive abilities in general. Reese thought about it for a moment. She took into consideration Shido's credentials and figured that would probably be a good decision for now. She was still wary of the girl, but Shido was vouching for her. The girl would have to earn her trust. If she is under the watch of Shido, then there will be little to worry about. They were quite capable after all. The blue-haired girl then walked to Ozia. Okay, I will take you to what will be your temporary and maybe permanent place of residence that you will be safe You will be safe, I promise, the blue-haired girl said with a smile. Ozia didn't really know what to say. Actually, it would be better not to speak at all. She felt like she was being held hostage here. It would be best to just cooperate with these guys right now, as she's simply not in agreement. Walk with the blue-haired person. Issei then looked dumbfounded at the blue-haired girl. He's been fighting hot for the past 10 minutes or so. As she calmly walked Ozia away. At least he knew where she was staying, so he could visit her anytime he wanted. But he then looked at Reese's confusion. Who was that blue-haired girl? Reese remembered Shido's hand gesture earlier and figured it'd be best to come up with a quick lie. Oh, that's Shiori. She's one of the members of my peerage. She's often on missions though, so no one really sees her that often. Oh, okay. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go home now, he said before leaving. Koneko, after he left, looked at Reese and she realized that Shido didn't just change his hair length and clothes. So are we not just gonna talk about how Shido miraculously grew a pair of busts out of nowhere? Reese looked at the young girl and smiled sweetly. Absolutely not, Reese replied. While Koneko wondered about what she had seen back there, Shiori would have been with Ozia, simply introducing her to the place she'd be living for a while, hopefully far away from the corrupt church. While walking and giving Ozia a tour of the place, Shiori ended up looking into a mirror and realized what form they were still in, and quickly transformed back to their regular appearance, back to Shido. Aji was thrown through the loop, seeing this. What kind of sorcery was this? She heard of people transitioning, but not like this. Shido looked at her before stopping out of the door and looking down at Aji, but she's so short, and saw that look at her face. How uncomfortable are you really? He said, looking her in the eye. On a scale of 1 to 10, 8 or 9, I'm sorry. Aji bowed in fear. She was scared, first afraid now that she had met the guy a couple of days back, but now he basically kidnapped her, although she supposed it was in a better situation than with Freed. She had noticed her apologetic nature and shy attitude and seemingly inexperienced in socializing. Hey Aji, do you mind if we walk a few doors down for the hall for you to meet someone? Shido asked as he had an idea. Aji looked up at the boy. She was confused. Who was he referring to? There are more people here. She already found herself in enough trouble, so it would be best not to refuse the boy's request. I don't mind at all. Great, he said as he walked Aji a few doors down to a room and opened it. What seemed to be a child's room full of stuffed animals, a computer, a desk, and what seemed to be a chest of some sort with a bed in the corner. Hey Yoshino, are you still up? He said, looking at a trove of blue hair. Yoshino looked up and smiled at the boy. She rubbed the back of her head and explained that she lost track of time. She waved his hands, explaining that it was completely fine, but also he wanted her to meet someone. He walked her to Aji. Come on, introduce yourself, you three, he said to the two girls. Aji was confused when Shido said three. He only saw the little girl with blue hair in the room. She was seemingly having a tea party with her puppet in her hand, but that was about it. Was there someone else she wasn't aware of? She greeted Yoshino before turning to Shido, asking if he was seeing doubles or something. Before quickly apologizing, considering how rude that may have come off as. This always happens, I swear. It's like I'm invisible to the world or something, a voice said, what seemed to come out of nowhere. Aji's eyes widened for a moment. She turned to look around, but didn't see a second person. She was questioning her sanity now. Was she hearing things? People just don't expect you, Yoshino. Why don't you introduce yourself and your best friend, Yoshino? Shido said, seemingly responding to the voice. Yoshino directed Aji's attention down to where Yoshino was. It took a moment for Aji to realize the puppet was actually the one talking. Aji felt kind of awkward in this situation. What was this about? Yoshino proceeded to introduce themselves. Yo, my name is Yoshino, and this is my best friend, Yoshino. Nice to meet you, Yoshino said casually. Aji went over to greet the two and shake their hands. Yoshino was the most extroverted being in the world, but she was open to talk to Aji at the very least. Shido then spoke to Yoshino. So Yoshino, Aji seemed to be like how you used to be before you met me a little over a year ago, and since you're one of the people who's been in the house the longest and have similar personalities, I was hoping you could help her get adjusted to town and living here and opening up to me, Shido said with complete confidence in Yoshino. Yoshino looked at Shido and nodded in affirmation. Showing Aji around town would be a good start. Maybe showing her some of the food and stuff would be good. Could be fun. She already knew what it was like to be new in town. So going to all the spots she and Shido went to, or at least some of her favorite places, could be a good start. Shido would walk towards his room before talking to Yoshino without making eye contact. I'll take her out on a date tomorrow. Yoshino, if she needs anything, give it to her. Direct her to the room for it. If she needs a change of clothes, you know the sheer amount of people who live here. I'm sure you can find something for her rating whatever, like 20 closets. Shio said casually to the young girl. Yoshino heard the word rating, her eyes widened in excitement. Dress up. She practically dragged Aji into about 5 different rooms, trying out different clothes to wear before finding something absolutely adorable for Aji to wear. Not only that, but it actually fit her too. Throughout the whole time, would be just wondering and amazed at how strong the blue-haired girl was. She could feel her arm practically being ripped off at times with the amount of strength Yoshino was using. The next morning, she just sat down on the couch waiting for Yoshino to present her night's work. As he saw the two come in, "What do you got for me, Yoshino?" Shio said calmly. Shio said, sounding slightly eager to see what Yoshino decided on. Yoshino went to grab Aji and the pile of clothes that they managed to grab last night. She brought Aji back into their living room, but in a more appropriate outfit for town, a red dress, black boots, and a black long-sleeve shirt underneath. She smiled at Shio. Yoshino introduced her as the new Aji, her finished product. Shio clapped his hands, impressed, but also to make Yoshino feel better since she's still basically a kid. I don't think she fully gets what the term date means in this house. Can you explain it, Yoshino? Shio said, smiling at the trio. Yoshino turned to Aji and began to explain with amazement in her eyes what date meant. Date in her mind meant. She would go on to describe something with taking a girl out to have some food at a restaurant and talk about feelings. She felt proud knowing she could form Aji into something worthwhile for Shio. And taking out on a date today, almost like a proud mother. She was so happy she could cry. Aji was not completely sure about the whole date aspect. She felt like she was missing out on a couple of crucial details. She supposed this was good enough to go by. She thanked Yoshino for her efforts before turning to Shio. You're ready? Going by what Yoshino said, we're going to go get something to eat, right? Aji asked with a bit of confusion and nervousness in her voice. Yeah, just give me a minute, he said before walking to Yoshino and hitting her his earpiece he typically wore on dates for advice and stuff. Thanks, Yoshino. Also, can you hold on to this for today? This is technically my first date where I can start off a relationship without worrying about the strings attached, space quakes, or any stakes. I like to enjoy this at my own pace, he said, looking at Yoshino. Yoshino gave Shio a thumbs up, but she was down to help by any means necessary, even if it meant taking a step back for him to do his own thing. Shio deserved a break from all the stuff he'd gone through over the past year. She was happy for him and Aji. Shio decided to take him through what would basically be a routine date for him and the younger, less mature girls, helping her buy clothes, shoes, and jewelry before taking her to eat. Order what you want, it's completely on me, Shio said, happy for the girl. If you'd like to talk about your situation, I'm down to talk to you about it and give you advice and help you cope. If not, that's also fine, Shio said extremely casually. Aji would look at the menu, a bit confused at everything she was seeing. She'd never seen most of these meals before, but figured a good one would be this item by the name of a burger. It looked tasty, and then a bag of fries. This was going to be her first time trying out such cuisines, and she was really hoping they tasted good. When they found the table and began eating, Ajia's mouth exploded with a foreign flavor. It was only one bite from the burger so far. She felt like she was in heaven already. She almost faded out of the table. You like that? You can order more if you want. I won't judge. Shido said, noticing her face. Aji didn't want to come off as greedy, so she declined for now. She wanted to finish the meal in front of her before thinking about ordering another. After lunch, Shido looked at Aji after cleaning up her face with a napkin. I'm gonna go into an alley and loop around so I can magically drop off these bags. Shido said. Shido said, looking at the girl's innocent face. Aji looked at Shido before replying with the simple, okay, this is her first day ever, and she was enjoying she enjoyed it quite a bit. No regrets. She could get used to this living arrangement. No fallen angels to worry about either. No good thing lasts for long, though. After Shido turned the corner into the alleyway, Yuma was walking towards Aji. Look at you, not even 24 hours into your freedom, you already gotten dressed up and taken on a date, Yuma said sadistically. Aji began to sweat. Oh no, not her again. She recognized the voice, but before she could call it for Shido, the fallen angel disguised as a human grabbed the blue-eyed girl and covered her mouth, muffling her voice. When Shido made his way back around, Aji was gone without a trace. But he had a feeling about what happened to her. He cursed himself for his carelessness here. They would regret it. Shido then ran over to the Occult Research Club and explained the situation to the president, with Ichi walking in halfway through. So that's the situation, he said, concluding his report. Rias folded her arms and sighed. She knew Shido wasn't usually this careless. She was disappointed She was disappointed how easily he let her get captured. But it didn't make sense. This was the first day in a while for him where he didn't have to worry about the fate of the earth. This would have been one of the most normal dates for him in a while, where it wasn't basically forced on him by the government either. Right about then, Ichi would walk into the room, but feel the tension and question what he missed. After a quick catch-up of events, Ichi would rub his temples in frustration. He was trying to make sense of everything, but it really did come off as quite terrible in his eyes. He understood that his friend was just trying to make Aji feel comfortable, but even Shido wasn't perfect. Shido looked determined. President, I request permission to take Ichi with me and permission to engage the fallen angels, Shido said, not backing down. Permission granted. It'd be great. It'd be a good experience for Ichi and learning how to fight some of these different factions anyway. Also, I was wondering if we could take Yoshino. She's the one who helped set up Aji for the state. Yoshino has grown quite attached to Aji and will soon be helping her get settled. So I was hoping she can help with the rescue operation, Shido said, considering Yoshino's feelings in the matter. Yoshino, the blue-haired water spirit, a bit of overkill in my opinion. But if what you say is true, I see no problems in adding her as well. Rhea said, Thank you, President. You won't regret this, Shido said before wormholing to Yoshino's room with Ichi as Shido kneeled down to Yoshino's level. Yoshino, I'm sorry, but Aji got kidnapped by the enemy on my watch. Please forgive me, he said with actual sadness in his voice as Ichi watched Shido What? Who would dare? Where are they? They're gonna pay. Yoshino warned. Some fallen angels, I came to you to ask for your forgiveness for betraying your trust, and ask for your help dealing with them. He said, looking down but not making eye contact with Yoshino. Let's beat up these fallen angels guys first, then I'll consider forgiveness. Now where are they? Meanwhile, with Ria Nakano, as a gothic, lolly, tough fallen angel came down from the trees, greeting, I am Miltelt. I was expecting three of you. Where's the powerful boy? Miltelt said with disappointment. Ria Nakano would simply say he's in a different location right now. Not that it was important anyway, since they were more than enough to deal with a small fry like her. They leaped into action while on the other side, Issei, Shido, and Yoshino would be huddled up together thinking of a game plan. Shido pulled out a book. Raziel, he said, focusing on the book, then spoke. Raziel has 3 abilities, and 2 I won't spoil. Near omnipotence, writing on the future and it happening, and surveillance. Anyway, back to the story. The psychopath is on the first floor. There's an army of grunts. There's an army of grunts in the basement behind. Behind them is Yuma and Azia. He said, giving the exact name of where people are and how many there are and their names without even looking through the door. Issei nodded. So what's the plan here now that we know the layout of the place and what we're facing? Start boosting now, he says. He kicked open the door. Kick his ass, Yoshino, he said, before even taking a step in. Fred had his usual insane look on his face, and pistol in hand, he began shooting at them. But Yoshino took him on, easily subduing him. The bullets hardly affect her, considering her full-powered sealed spirit status. She punched him in the liver, which immediately forced him to buckle down. Punched to the temple, left him unconscious. She threw him over to the other side of the building, leaving Issei impressed. The little girl was strong. She then broke down the entrance to the basement and saw that saw the sheer amount of goons and ran on top of the altar with Azia. Yoshino, just watch. They will get the punishment. They will get their punishment for messing with your newest friend, Shio said as a red light appeared around him. City of devouring time, he said, as all the grunts suddenly dropped in an instant. Issei looked at his friend in amazement. Dang man, what'd you just do? I essentially harvested their time to set up for my next play, he said as he summoned a giant clock and a gun. Zafkiel, which we basically already explained, as he pointed the gun at the 7 marker, then Azia, with only Shio and Yoshino knowing the true purpose of this move, because to remind Azia and Issei looks like he was gonna shoot Azia. Hey, what the heck? You're gonna kill her? That goes against the whole reason why we came here in the first place. Rainier also looked shocked and scared. You wouldn't dare fire. This is a bluff to make me drop my guard. Well, that ain't happening, Rainier said with a hint of anger and fear in her voice. It wasn't a bluff. He shot the bullet at the girl. Everyone except for Yoshino looked at Cheeto in shock. And he thought his friend was completely insane. Rainier was enraged. There was no use having this girl anymore, so she dropped her from the cross. She went flying towards the boy in blue net, but Issei stepped forward and sucker punched Rainier. He had been boosting for a while now, after all, so that punch almost broke her jaw. It was enough to keep her down for the count. She was pretty much immobilized now. Thankfully, they only made it within a minute or two after Rayman took out her sacred gear, so they still had time to freeze her body. The effects were reversed long enough, and after adding the sacred gear back to her body, she was completely healed. No need to worry any longer. Issei was noticeably confused though as to what happened here. Hey Shido, how's she alive after you shot her with a bullet on the cross? Issei asked. Remember that? Issei asked, still thinking that was actual, but remember that situation with you being brought back to life thanks to Kirby? I have a feeling I'll never weigh it down, but go on, Issei said, slightly depressed. It's basically the same situation here. I took the time from those lackeys we fought and used it in order to avoid losing Asia, pretty much freezing time for her enough to where we could reverse the effect of her losing her sacred gear, else she would have died not too long after she woke, but in good condition after her sacred gear was back in her possession. She looked at the three and jumped back considering how close they were, but smiled seeing them once again. She looked around and saw that they managed to take down her mare. Nice. Now what was next? Before Rinus and Akeno finished walking downstairs, so have you come to a verdict yet about Asia? She said before summoning Haniel to change Asia into what she was wearing earlier. Your actual clothes you bought are in your room, but this is a temporary solution, she said to the confused girl. They thought about it for a moment, but it was a unanimous decision. Make her a part of the peerage. Asia was confused as what they were talking about until the crimson-haired girl brought out her chess pieces and pulled out a bishop. Tell me, Asia, would you like to join my peers, become one of us? Asia didn't know what to say. She had to think about it for a little, but she looked over to Shido. If it means getting closer to Shido, sure, I'll accept. I'm gonna be honest with you, Asia. You gotta stay with me regardless of your choice, because it's clear that angels and fallen angels won't be in your best interest. Shido told Asia not to try to bias her choice. I know, but all of you seem like nice people. You guys actually care for my well-being, so even though you guys are devils, you can't be that bad, right? Wait till you realize just how many girls Shido has in his house, Yoshino said in a whisper to Yoshino. Shush, Yoshino said. It's not my call to make. You make the call if you trust us, Shido told her directly. I already made my decision. I'll be glad to join your peerage, ma'am, Asia spoke excitedly. Then settle, Asia, I hereby make you my bishop, and she will continue taking care of your needs and training, Rhea said proudly before reincarnating her. Oh, by the way, Shido, I forgive you. Just be more careful next time for everyone's sake, Yoshino said. You're just doing this because this is the second time a girl has gotten kidnapped on my watch, aren't you? Shido said begrudgingly. Second time, Issei exclaimed. We aren't having this conversation, he said, walking off with Asia and Yoshino following close behind. And that's it for part 1. That was 20 pages long, so yeah, see you guys next time. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment. I'll be doing a Q&A after season 1.